Welcome to the Strategic Oracle, the transmission space where timing meets soul and wealth begins with the rhythm. Let's begin. Here we are. We are in the season of prosperity. On August 1st, here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's known as Lammas, which means bounty. We are really bearing the fruit and receiving the largesse from the earth for all the things that we've planted earlier in the spring, earlier in the summer. And so we've tended them for the last few months, and now here they are. They're starting in their full fruiting, their full bounty. And so we get to start harvesting them. In the Southern Hemisphere, it's Imbolc. And so beneath the earth, there's a quickening, there's an awakening. And so when we look at that, again, on August 1st, it heralds the beginning of a new season. And I've dubbed the season to be the season of prosperity because of this opening, this doorway. Now, the sun is in Leo, which it is for the entire world. And that's important because when the sun is in Leo, it's about coming out. It's about shining your gifts. It's about being in the world. It's about being totally human, alive, vivacious, open-hearted. And so if you were to think about it and say, well, Kim, why don't we have that season of prosperity on February 1st when in the Northern Hemisphere we have Imbolc, that quickening underneath the earth, and we have that beautiful Lammas in the Southern Hemisphere, that same thing, that reaping the benefits of all the plantings that's happened for that Southern Hemisphere summer. Because the sun's in Aquarius. It's an entirely different energy. Aquarius is much more distant. It's much more about the philosophy of life and about, that 300,000 foot vantage point of looking at everything from a distant view. It doesn't feel like we're then going to really understand the cycles of prosperity that give and take, that receiving and that giving, that full expression. I'm literally doing the infinity sign with my hand right now. That's a Leo energy with these two Lammas and Imbolc energies. With Aquarius, I can literally put my hands right next to my head and kind of look down and say, from this vantage point, I can see all. And so that way, this is earthly. The seasons are earthly. That earthly frequency matters in tandem with the cosmos for what actions we want to take and how these stars affect us, because we are co-creating with them. And so you've heard me say for, probably the last handful or two of months, the stars are awaiting our instruction. There's a co-creation activity here. So it depends on what's happening in the earth to what the seasons are that spark and ignite and allow us to take action, whether to be out in the world or to deepen. And so this is the season of prosperity. So let's go into what prosperity means. It is that flow. It is that reciprocity. How am I showing up in the world in the actions that I take, as well as how am I deepening to have those in reflections, those intentions, that manifestation spark to begin. And then you go out and take action, and then you come back and you make intention, then you go out and take action. And that's the cycle of manifestation. That's the cycle of prosperity. Whereas when we talk about making money, there's a different, it's more like a circle. You're going out, you're making an exchange, you're coming back, you're either delivering that exchange, you're receiving the money, and then it's a circle. With abundance, there's that planting. There's that I have put all the seeds in and I've done the work and now I am reaping the reward. So that goes along with bounty. With wealth, it's the combination of all of these things, and it's the building blocks for it to create more of itself. And so in that understanding, let's look at August and say, okay, as we enter this next 3-month period of prosperity, August is the initiator. August, here we come. And August starts with that sun in Leo and then ends with the sun in Virgo. So we start in a fiery, very robust energy, and then we end in an earthly fine-tuning, adjustments, making sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Now, this year, we're entering August like this because Mercury's retrograde. And so Mercury, although in Leo, he's making sure that we are reading the fine print, that we are making those micro adjustments, that we're altering how we perceive, how we converse, how we show up for ourselves, and making those adjustments to ensure that we are being the true, authentic expression of who we are as a person, not as a position. And so this entire month feels a little Virgo-like. But Mercury, although we love him, he's a messenger heralding what's happening, going to happen in the future. And in this case, yes, but no. There's a little bit more of an immediacy there. Leo is very much about right now. That big, beautiful, fiery sign is like the sun is there, and the sun loves Leo because the two of them are so much alike. And well, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to show up right now. But the sun is also the future for your future. How am I showing up right now? For the future. So the things you're doing now aren't just for, gee, it's August 1st or August 5th or August 20th. It's like, right now it's August of 2025. How am I putting the right feet in place and taking the right actions so that I can affect my future? And then we've got two big monstrous, and monstrous not in a bad way. Like, just think of like cute little monsters, but yes, but no. We have two monstrous star configurations this month. One is on the 11th, one is on the 28th to 29th, depending on where you are on the Earth. So on the 11th, we have that Mercury just ending its retrograde. It's coming out of its shadow. And then we've got Saturn and Uranus exciting each other again. Now, they did that on April 4th, but on April 4th, they were in different zodiac signs. So this is the first time we felt them in these zodiac signs. I'll get to that in a moment. I'm just going to pin that there. The next one is we've got Uranus coming to that sextile again, that excitement with Neptune. Now, it's really interesting because we can know, I just said it, that Uranus is the central character here. Uranus is going to be exciting with Saturn, and Uranus is also exciting with Neptune. But what do these two things have in common? Saturn and Neptune are so close together right now. It makes sense, right? If Uranus is having similar effect with Saturn and similar effect with Neptune, gee, Saturn and Neptune must be close together in the sky. They must be sitting right next to each other. In fact, they're sitting so close together, they're almost blending together. But like, think of it as like a Venn diagram. No, there's overlap there. There's a big overlap there, but they're still separate. They don't become like that full circle overlap until February 20th of 2026. Been talking about this for a long time. It's a big deal. The last time they went to that full circle was back in the late 80s. And so they did it in Capricorn last time. This time they're going to do it in Aries. They're both cardinal signs. That means there's an initiation that's being sparked here. I've been talking a lot about Garnet. I've been talking about the divine spark with my clients. And so that's the energy that I've been feeling, is that there's a new initiation, a new activation, a new awakening coming. You've been hearing me talk about this for a year. However, they're almost here, but almost matters. Like, almost here. It's like, think about them sitting on a park bench, and their shoulders are totally overlapped, but they're still separate among themselves. And in Aries, they're the no nonsense people, right? So in Aries, Saturn is like, oh, for the love of God, take responsibility for all the things that are going on. Would you quit kicking the can down the road? Number one. Would you stop blaming other people? Number two. And number three, would you recognize that I am here to be your best supporter, even though I'm all about tough love? And then you've got Neptune saying, I just woke up, hate it. I'm hating it, right? You woke up and you looked around and you're like, ugh, it's a crappy weather day. You've got all these things to do. You're dreading it. You don't feel like doing it, but you got to get your butt out of bed. Like, that's really where he is right now. And then Saturn's right there going, uh-huh. Yep, uh-huh. Like, literally Saturn's taking the covers off, and it's, cold. And then he's taking the mattress and he's flipping it over and you're on the floor. That's exactly what those two are up to right now. And they're exciting you because they're exciting each other. They're like, yep, you got to do it. Oh, well, I don't want to do it. Yep, you got to do it. I don't want to do it. But then you end up doing it. That is exactly what's happening right now. That's what those two are up to. But then you've got Uranus over there standing a little bit across, looking at these two, knuckleheads on the bench and going, these two chuckalucks, these two need to be like, seriously, they think they're really tough guys. They think they're going to make you wake up. They're never going to make you wake up. You can pull the covers back on. You can sleep on the floor. You'll be fine. Uranus literally takes the pin out of the grenade, throws in the middle of the room, and he's like, I'll make you wake up. Boom. That's exactly what's happening. So it feels really frightening. It's not. Believe it or not, these stars are in wild support of each other, and they're in wild support of you. Uranus is about how can you make sure that you are true to yourself? How can you break through to you? This is the reason I've been naming the year Breakthrough to You. Here we are right now in the 8th month of a 9-year. So a 9 is about wholeness and 8 is about infinity. 8 is about prosperity. Another reason that this month kicks off the season of prosperity. So you get the infinite cycle. There you get the infinite blessings. You get the infinite, largesse and richness and wealth and prosperity and bounty of the world. It is at your fingertips. Guess what? You're not going to get it if you're asleep. You're not going to get it if you're just like putting your head under the covers and saying, I don't feel like dealing with this anymore. Literally, Neptune wants me to go put my fingers, close my eyes, put my fingers in my ears and go, no, 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 I can't hear you right now. Literally, he just made me do that. Because of that, Uranus is like, absolutely not. You're going to be able to fade away into that in the latter part of the year. In that October, November, December timeframe, in that Q4, you are going to be able to hide again because we've got these retrograde planets of Saturn and of Neptune moving back into their original energies. We even have Uranus doing that. So those original energies of Uranus moves back into Taurus later this year. We've got Saturn moving back into Pisces. In the first part of September, we've got Neptune moving back into Pisces. And so there's this like, oh, I can kick the can down the road. No worries. It's not a problem. August wants to make sure, as these planets are exciting each other in this month, they want to make sure that you don't slide back. Why? Because you've done all this work and you've taken all these strides and you've made all these changes. Don't give up now. Like, this is not the time for that. This is the time to say, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable. Yeah, it's unfamiliar. Yeah, the words aren't really flowing out of my mouth right now. Yes, there are changes and I feel uncertain. It's too important to slide back. And August is going to make sure that you don't. So Mercury at the beginning of the month is going to jostle you just for the first week and a half. It's not a big deal. Jostle you a little bit, but we've got a full moon on the 9th. We've got Lionsgate on the 8th. So we've got this maximum effect pack, the 8th, the 9th, and the 11th. And on the 11th, this is that big Saturn Uranus event. It's that awakening, quickening again. So think about the first week of April and think about what was stirring for you then. Really think about going back to 2021 and 2022 and what you were wrangling with. This is to help you lock it in so that any changes that you make, you don't lose your footing. Yay. And then at the end of the month, on that 28th, 29th, depending on where you live, you've got that, guess what, guys? We are going to have that spiritual awakening, that quest for freedom. We are going to break free and create the life of our dreams. That's exactly the energy. And when you think about it like that, you're like, no big, right? This is amazing. Thank you so much, stars. And yet the day-to-day of it, there are tensions, there are triggers, there are power plays, there are struggles, there are adjustments that you're required to make. I know you're tired. I know that this has been a long decade. I know that you have done so much. Guess what? Now's the time. You are at the 10-yard line. You're at the 5-yard line. You're at the 1-yard line. You are so close to ready to kick that goal. Let's not do a field goal, to get the touchdown. You are so close. Why would you sit down on that last yard line and give up? You wouldn't. If you could see that clearly, you wouldn't. Because this month, the magical tools that come in are all about the number 33 shine card, about aquamarine for courage, about pine flower essence, for self-acceptance, for not taking all this blame or judgment or fear about you haven't made it yet. There's no recriminations here. You are here. You've done all the things. You're in the perfect place right now. And then we have skunk as a spirit animal, which we haven't had for a really long time. Skunk is all about know your worth. Think about it. Think of, okay, for those of you who are old enough, Pepe Le Pew, the little cartoon, and think about the fact that, yeah, he was a big stinky mess, but he was knowing that he was just fabulous and he was going to get the girl. Absolutely 100%. So think about that. A skunk is so incredibly brave to be out and knowing they're a little stink bomb, but no, they're beautiful. And that's what this month is about. It's not about taking these big, swathing, bold moves and saying, I'm going to get on every single stage that's out there. I am going to, make the biggest deals. I am going to make investments that are massive for long-term growth. Not at the beginning of the month, but the time you get to the end of the month, you are putting so many things in place that is true. They just might not be you showing up this month. They might be, but they might not. And you haven't missed the mark if they're not. If you're not actually doing all those things in the material way, like, gee, I just gave my keynote. I just went and met, with the major celebrities I wanted to. I just manifested and created and received the money for all of the things that I am selling right now. This month is you're putting all of that into place for yourself, and you are not losing ground on that. So if you've planted seeds in the late spring, early summer here, Northern Hemisphere, so that's that late April, early May, even June timeframe, now is the time to revisit those. Now is the time to stir those up again. Now is the time to move those further along their path. That's what August is about, moving yourself further along your path, whatever that path may be. And if there's course correction because you are still giving up parts of yourself, or you're feeling the weight of too much team or too much responsibility, or what I'm seeing a lot of and I'm not happy about it. And when I'm not happy, it means that your soul is just not singing. That's what that means. Is that, yes, we have AI. AI is a great tool. AI is meant to be our assistant, is meant to be a helper, if you will, to save time, to create some clarity, to give us some finishing, right? It's a finishing touch. It is not an originator. And I'm a lot of my former clients or people, they're not really one-on-one clients. They're more like people that were in my outer world. They're noticing I'm shifting, which is fine, right? But because they've never really had a foothold into my work, because they've never gotten close enough to invest, they don't really see, they can't really understand, and they can't really appreciate the deepening effect of it. So it's both incredibly deepened and it's massively precise. And so they're coming out and they're like, but wait a minute, this is changing. Oh my God. Blah, blah, blah. And when they're doing that, they're, so Linnell's getting back to them and, just kind of like helping them usher along. Yes, things are shifting. Here's where you can find this. Here's where you find that, whatever. They're used to serving themselves in my free world, which is lovely. However, they're also feeling, because of this loss, there's a little bit of entitlement that's coming, that they're feeling like they can tell me what's happening with them, which, sure, if I happen to have time and I can get back to them, great. If not, then that's just the way it goes, but they're looking for a witness to be born. And so many of them are coming back and they're stating things declaratively. I am now an awakener. I am now activating. I am now ... And there's this essence of the mysterious there that I think that they're imagining I'll appreciate, but yet it doesn't have anything to do with who they are, right? And I'm not actually, knowing their energy intimately because they haven't been in my one-on-one container, but they've been swirling around enough. And when I do things like record these podcasts, or I write articles for a website, or I do a media appearance, I'm sensing the energy that's out there. That's just what I do. And what I'm looking for is to name the precision in the room, right? To look to see what is running amok and to course correct it with the resonance of my words. And so because of that, I can sense things. I can sense who's in that outer realm of my world, on the fringes, if you will, not nearly as much as I can in the inner core, but I can still sense it. That's what I do. And so I'm like, oh, I was just saying to Greg, my husband this weekend, I was saying, here's where that, effery comes again. Here's where that, charlatans are us come again. We have AI, which is such a great tool, maybe, right? If there are parameters around it, and if we remember we are before it, we are not being pulled along by it. Just like anything. It's like anything. We could say that about social media. We can say that about another person's success methods. We could say that about anything. We can say that about great ideas that we get, is if we don't actually integrate them into who we are and how we are meant to be moving forward, then they're just pulling us into like corners and ideas and directions that aren't really for our betterment. This is this month. This whole little diatribe that I've just done is about this month, because we are going to see the fraying of that. We are going to see that illusion, that delusion happening in the latter part of this year. And that fourth quarter is so filled with healing and so like French kiss for being pure perfection, for us to be able to shed things finally that are not our own. I haven't been able to say that in a hot minute either. And so we want to get ready for that. We want to be really fully wearing. Think about Leo with the crown, right? King or queen, boom, there we are, showing up in the majesty of ourselves. And we can say without apology, if that's in our energy. I don't say that. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to be so bold and be so unapologetic. I'm going to be such a disruptor. That is not my energy at all. Although I will disrupt a room when I walk into it, but I'm not saying a word. I'm just seeing the absolute pure truth of it. And it's in my energy. So those who recognize that and appreciate it come towards me, and those who don't want to look at it move away from me. Just happens. But I've said nothing. So does that say the word disruptor? Does that say the word bold? Does that say the word unapologetic? Nope. It says the word precision. It says the word truth. It'll say the word honesty. It might say the word depth. It might say the word anchoring. If you notice the words that I choose, even though I'm having a conversation right now, they are very precise. So what are your words? Think about that during this month. What are your words? And yes, go for it. Go to AI and ask, what are my words? But take them under advisement, then go for a walk, and then, or you can ask somebody else about this, or you can look at some strategy you've done with somebody, or was brainstorming about your core values, like all those things. But then go for a walk in nature, go for a deep meditation, go do a beautiful yogic practice, and then come back and feel each one of them in your body. And you know that if anybody's been in my close containers, I will say, like, feel them in your jawline. Can you say them? I am going through a pivot right now that's fairly massive because it is so precise. And I'm finally owning that I walk into a room and I am the representative of the truth of that, what that room wants to be. And I help it rise. These are the first blushes of me actually saying that out in the world. This has been coming for months. And I've been wrangling with it a little bit and dancing with it and kind of pushing it off and bringing it forward and doing all the things that I tell other people to do, walking around with, is this true? If it is true, how is it true? If it is true, how does it happen? How can I talk about it? What are the right words? When is the right time? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, this happens. This is transformation. This is change. This is true change. This isn't the change of, gee, this sounds really good and I wish it to be true, so therefore I'm going to say it. That's false. Like I said, you're going to have the latter part of this year to be able to kind of lull yourself with that. You're not going to have any time or any moment for that at the top of 2026 once that full circle of Saturn and Neptune sitting on that bench come fully together. And you don't want to miss this, because I have to tell you, the opportunities of this year and the massive opportunities of next year are way too yummy to give up. Absolutely not. So let's just go really quickly for those who have taken the quiz and know their signatures. Let's just go through the prosperity signature and tips for those. So the wise strategist, goals. You're all about goals. So by the end of this month, you dreamy, you get the middle of the season to just really like whet your appetite with finishing, put the finishing touches and looking deeply into 2026. And so just be in love with that. Get through the next 3 weeks and then heaven for you. Intuitive visionary, this season is your favorite, actually, because there is that flow and you love to go with the flow. Remember the deepening aspect of it, though, and really set that power for yourself and that ownership. For you, collaborative explorer, this is dreamy as well. You get the latter part of this season, and so those planting of the seeds are still happening for you. So let that ripen throughout these next 3 months, and then really take the bounty towards the end in that October time frame. And then for you, ruling warrior, it starts off you don't actually, although you love money and sales and that, reciprocity of that exchange, it's transactional a lot of times for you because you are proving yourself. Don't prove yourself. Have fun with this, and then it's going to be dreamier than you can imagine. Creative superstar, this prosperity you can handle. You can handle abundance. You can handle even wealth. When we start talking about money, you get a little jiggy. Don't. Just relax into it and have some fun and really stir and just show up as you. This month is really your time to unveil yourself. And then for you, loving alchemist, allow yourself to prepare for that beautiful season of potential that's coming. So set your value exchange and really hold that firm, and you will set yourself up for beauty in this season. And for everybody, this is August. Happy August. Yes, the tensions are rising, as are you. You've been listening to the Strategic Oracle, where success isn't scaled from speed, but from soul. If this stirred something real, follow it. Apply for activation, enter the vault, or pause right here. Integration is leadership too. Because the truth is, you were never meant to chase the timing. You are meant to become it.